You're listening to Weather with Enthusiasm. Wednesday, April 17th, 2024. For those of us that have a natural interest in heat and humidity, especially the type like a Bermuda high here in the United States, the Gulf of Mexico humidity, combining with high pressure here in the Midwest, there are certain places in the world which even do a better job than that. Nothing can top the Persian Gulf in this area. India also is on a very high level, but it's impossible to overlook the United Arab Emirates, which sits right along the Persian Gulf. The Persian Gulf has the hottest water temperatures in the world. Temperatures go into the 90s, water temperatures in the 90s, sometimes even upper 90s. When winds come in off the Gulf, super high skyrocket humidity occurs due to very high dew points. These dew points at times prevent the overnight lows from dropping very much. We've taken a look at the weather forecasts many times for the city of Dubai in United Arab Emirates and noticed that the temperature sometimes does not drop under 95 degrees. And this is an area which is also getting humidity, sometimes even a dew point of 80 degrees, which classically speaking makes the temperature feel 20 to 25 degrees hotter than what it actually is. One of the strangest things about a city like Dubai is the fact that there's so limited rainfall. In fact, the climate regarding rain, it resembles a desert climate. Not much rain at all during the year, with rainfall accumulations only about 3 or 4 inches a year. It's very shocking. It's one of the most shocking things about weather on this planet, really, is that situation occurring on the Persian Gulf. It's just really mind-boggling, especially for those of us that are used to places like Florida, where the dew points are not even as high, but everyone knows all it takes is one thunderstorm and you get a big downpour. Well, the United Arab Emirates, this has been all over the news. We had a potent low pressure system that moved across that area, bringing a historical rain event to that region. Places reported, some of the places that have reported very high rainfall accumulations include the southeast portions of Iran, including Onan, portions of Saudi Arabia as well, and especially the United Arab Emirates. Highest amounts were really by Onan, and we also had some 10 plus inches of rain by the southeast portions of Iran. All these areas are along the Persian Gulf. This was a low pressure system that moved across the Arabian Peninsula and the Gulf of Onan. This low pressure system, of course, had a feed of moisture coming from those two warm bodies of water. But it also had a feed of moisture coming from the world's hottest body of water, which is the Persian Gulf. This is the case actually by just about any low pressure system that moves across that area. The moisture comes from those oceans, from the world's warmest water temperatures, and the humidity skyrockets, the dew points skyrocket. There's an enormous amount of moisture that gets put into the atmosphere. In this case, we also had the jet stream, which came a little bit further south and helped intensify the storm, along with cold air aloft. Cold air aloft is always going to increase those precipitation rates. As we know, when the cold air on the surface blows over relatively warmer waters, we have things called lake effect rain showers, lake effect snow showers. Those things come down very hard. When you have colder air not on the surface, but it's up in the sky, it doesn't have that intensity, that same impact, but it is similar. It intensifies storms and it intensifies precipitation rates. And in that area, you almost always have what we would call here lake enhancement, but it's really more like ocean enhancement. In fact, that's all you can get there. Every storm has a moisture feed from those oceans, so I doubt there's even a word for it, but there's just a lot of moisture available really at all times of the year. Almost all times of the year, you'll see areas around there which have high dew points. So we have a storm system. It was more potent than usual. We also had an upper low which collided with the surface low. That intensifies things when the low pressure in the upper atmosphere is aligned with the low pressure in the lower atmosphere. it helps squeeze the precipitation out. It helps produce more rain. But what we also had were the thunderstorms and lightning. Lightning is something, this is said more by snow, but it's just said by snow. It applies to rain just as well. By snow, meteorologist Dave Murray, KTVI chief meteorologist in St. Louis, has said that when there's thunder or lightning by snow, it opens the gates of heaven to the snow. The same thing is true by rain. It acts as a cloud seed, really, and it gets the precipitation going, and it acts as a very efficient precipitation maker. In fact, if you were to put cloud seeds, if you were to seed the clouds at a time when there's a thunderstorm, there's already lightning, it's very questionable whether that cloud seeds would do a thing in such a case. It's important to mention this, and we're going to get to that in a second. It's due to the United Arab Emirates. They are world leaders when it comes to cloud seeding. They lead the world by leaps and bounds. The only one exception, which they point out on their website, the meteorological department of United Arab Emirates points out that the king of Thailand, in Thailand, they also take cloud seeding seriously, and they have seen effectiveness. They have seen more success than any other place in the world. And it's possible that the United Arab Emirates remains motivated to do what they do based upon that. But there's other reasons as well. We are going to touch upon, again, the cloud seeding in just a second. Do not assume at all that this heavy rain was in response to cloud seeding, because it wasn't. It was not. Cloud seeding was not connected to it, and that is something we're going to talk about in just a minute. But first, let's just discuss the rainfall total. So from a meteorological perspective, all the ingredients were there. Everything necessary to produce a heavy rainfall event was there. Apparently, the system also became stationary. It had to have done that. And that's a super band ingredient. That's a superpower ingredient when it comes to a thunderstorm. If you can get a thunderstorm to remain stationary, to give you an idea of what could happen, all you have to do is think back at the Fort Lauderdale incident in Florida, where the rainfall accumulations, we did a whole podcast on it. We're in the 20s, 20-some inches. Just a thunderstorm just never moved. It just stayed over that area. There was no tropical storm, no hurricane, and I believe that now is the record for the most rain that's ever occurred in a 24-hour period. I also believe, I have to listen to the episode I made to refresh my memory, but I believe it all came down in a mere 6-hour period, and that more rain fell then than in any tropical storm or hurricane. This was done back April 2023, so it's something that I would want to listen to again, or people could listen to it or search to see if all of those facts are correct. If those facts are not correct, I could tell you they're certainly very close to being correct. A very, very heavy rain event, a rain accumulating event, occurred in Fort Lauderdale a year ago due to a thunderstorm that became stationary. Thunderstorms are just such a powerhouse. They have like natural cloud seeding in it. That's what the lightning does. Lots of lightning over the Dubai area. And this is very much focused on Dubai because that's where the weather stations were. And that is reported to be the world's second busiest airport, according to some news sources. And that airport had to shut down. This is a rainstorm. All the ingredients necessary to produce heavy rain were all there. There was no miracles, nothing like that. It really was just nothing too impressive either, other than what happened. We had a low pressure system move across very warm bodies of water. We had a jet stream. We had the surface low and the upper low aligned. That happens here in the United States as well. They had hail. They had the thunderstorms. They had cold air aloft, which also helped increase the precipitation rates. And that also probably contributed to the hail falling. So what's the end result? The end result is that the city is reported to have shut down with a description similar to what you would hear about by a nor'easter blizzard in the East Coast. It brought the city to a standstill. The effect that a blizzard has in those cities, that seems to be the effect that this rainmaker had. And there's so many questions one could ask on this. It's hard to even know where to begin, and I don't really think we have the answers right now. So, question number one is just a question on the climate. Why is it a desert climate if they're right next to such warm water? And all it takes is a thunderstorm. Why don't these events happen more often? They don't, though. And being that they don't, the city's not equipped to deal with drainage of such heavy rainfall. Number two is, could there have been, being that this is a city which is known for its cloud seeding program, could any of this been a result of cloud seeding? So if you go to the meteorological department of that country, you read on their website will say they have 6 aircraft that they use to put salt in the atmosphere. They do not use any chemicals, but they did identify salt as one of the chemicals. What they do is they go into the mountain areas, because the mountain areas is where the cumulus clouds start to form. This type of cloud seeding requires there to first be clouds before anything happens, and most, maybe even all cloud seeding requires that. They go to the mountain areas to produce something like that, to produce the rain. At the time that this event was taking place, they do report they had 6 aircraft up there, but they did not cloud seed the clouds. That's first of all. Secondly, if they would have, the chances are nothing would have changed, because there already was lightning. But they didn't do it, and also there was heavy rain all over the place. Just it was a little bit heavier in certain areas. Another thing to point out, which is not mentioned on the website, is that they also have a different program called the electric drones. Their website doesn't mention it, but you'll read about it from other news sources, and this is something that is used in the summertime, where the drones go up. There's no chemicals at all. The drones go up into the atmosphere and produce an electric current. To me, it sounds like lightning, and it produces heavy rain. Now, that heavy rain is used to reduce the heat, because the heat is life-threatening. But the cloud seeding program with the salt and the 6 aircraft, that's used to intensify rain. It comes out very interesting because Israel did a study on cloud seeding, and they concluded that it's not effective. So they have a whole different way to preserve their rain, and they came up with different ways to genetic differences in plants to allow it to grow in a drier climate, and they had a different approach to this. But the United Arab Emirates, probably due to the scorching high humidity they have over there, they found cloud seeding to be very effective, and it looks like their role model could very well be Thailand. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, Thailand, and they mention gratitude to him, words of praise to the king of Thailand for going ahead and using this approach over there. So it sounds like that might be their leader, and United Arab Emirates is very motivated, probably because there's 2 reasons. One of them is to just eliminate the life-threatening heat. So temperatures being 110, they drop to maybe 100, something like that, on a summer day. They do that sometimes with electric drones. So although there are some news sources that say that there could have been cloud seeding, but they claim they did not. There was no cloud seeding involved in this. And what you have to realize is that all of the ingredients were there to produce a heavy rainfall naturally. The U.S. would have gotten this, no big deal, no cloud seeding at all. This is we've seen a lot of times where there's thunderstorms. It is an enormous amount of rain, but it happens. 6 to 11 inches of rain. Officially at the Dubai International Airport, the 2-day total was 6.45 inches. 5-point-some of that inches fell in one day. And I believe 0.7 something fell on Monday. 5 point whatever fell on Tuesday, and then the final inch fell on Wednesday. It was something like that. And then you have other areas as well. We mentioned some places that got 11 inches. A couple places in Iran, they got 11 inches. We know its impact on the United Arab Emirates was floods. I don't know the impact it had on the other countries, but you can read about this. It's not in every newspaper, but I'm sure by tomorrow it will be. And AccuWeather will give you more of the statistics, the exact amounts of rain, which would include millimeters as well. This is a city that only gets 3-some inches of rain per year, and it is a desert climate. Those are the words that we have to say right now. I will tell you that there's another severe weather outbreak expected tomorrow for the St. Louis area. The area of highest risk here in this country is St. Louis, Missouri, where they currently, the Storm Prediction Center has put them at a level 3 out of 5 for an enhanced risk of severe weather. That means within a 25-mile radius, you could expect there's a 30% chance or 30% coverage of severe weather. However, as meteorologist Bob Clubbs, social meteorologist on Patreon, has pointed out, it doesn't mention there'll be a high-end severe weather as of yet. But St. Louis is the bullseye. There is higher confidence that there will be this type of event going on tomorrow in that area. We saw numerous tornadoes yesterday in the Iowa region, and that storm system, its associated cold front, passed through the Chicago area late this morning with only a couple of thunderstorms. And most of the thunderstorms, especially anything that became severe, the National Weather Service tells us developed east of Interstate 55 as of this morning. For the latest weather forecasts for your local city, the National Weather Service is an enormous resource of knowledge, and this is especially true if you use the forecast discussion. If you use just the forecast, it is possible you can compare their accuracy with other accuracies and figure things out who you want to go with. But if you look at their forecast discussion, I don't think there's anyone who competes. They have no competitors in that. There's the one and only National Weather Service forecast discussion. Nobody that I know of does a job like that, explains the variables as well as they do. There is a lot of scientific terminology, but they do an extremely thorough job. And even the forecasts, which are more accurate, one could say, than the National Weather Service, realize even they are getting most of their information from the National Weather Service. So we certainly owe an enormous amount of gratitude to the National Weather Service. I think that all forecasters here in the U.S. do. And if only National Weather Services in other countries had the same type of forecast discussion, it would make things much easier when discussing weather in other countries. So with that being said, I wish everyone a wonderful night and have a Chag Kosher V'Sameach. I would like to do one that would include Pesach. And stay safe. And there is a tornado threat for tomorrow in the St. Louis area. And that's something that, again, the Storm Shield app is something very good. And the NOAA Weather Alert Radio is always the best. They're difficult to find, but they are the best. Take care. Thank you for listening. You've been listening to Weather with Enthusiasm. This podcast can be found on almost every platform where podcasts are available.